Okay.
Well, now he's just going to go, well, guess what? I'm going to play the Gwen, which is something that, you know, because the drafts look the same, we just kind of assumed that was going to be the top pick, but you can go, well, forget about your Jace pick. I'm just going to put a big tank in the top lane, and it's going to be a very different scenario. Sorry, I just knocked my mic away. That's why I went cut out for a second there. Startled you.
That was interesting.
But yeah, the Ornn pick here is going to be great for, you know, getting those items online later on. Great engage potential.
Whoa.
The Jinx.
Last second change there alongside of Braum. So they're like, wow, Braum is really strong.
Let's fight him at level 1.
Maybe if they run into us this time, we can win the level 1.
So now we have to find out what the final pick here is going to be on the bottom side with the Aphelios. Leona's still available, but looking towards the Nautilus instead. And that's what they will go with here. I mean, they have a lot of lockdown with the Nautilus and the Ornn together. Really interesting to see how this one's going to pan out, because you have some pretty decent skirmishing power. You're going to have, you know, some mid-prio. It's not extreme mid-prio, as we talked about. The Jace's, or the Ryze, excuse me, is decent dilution. Will it be mid-Jace? And the Ryze against the Ornn, I don't think so. It'll be really interesting to see that, though.
Yeah, I mean,
the matchup changes quite significantly for the Lucian there.
Ryze is definitely good into the Lucian. He's got the wave clear, and they are going to switch that one up. I think the Jace can do a decent job there as well, but I'd rather just have the Jace up into the top side anyway, especially given the players.
Exactly. I mean, Faker's really good at Jace mid too, but keep him on the Ryze here, stick with the original plan. And I think they just didn't press the swap button very quickly. I don't think that was actually really a consideration, but just wanted to have the conversation as we head to this game that is, you know, on paper very similar to the last, with some massive tweaks, I would say. You know, I mean, the Jace now into the Ornn isn't going to be a matchup that he just absolutely steamrolls and gets massive leads on. And you also don't have the Zac that's going to be able to punish the Jace as quickly from as far away. Yeah, Kenny could still punish when Jace is poking and being annoying in the lane, but it's not going to be quite the same. And Kana actually will have a lot more freedom to be frustrating, to be a bully that he didn't have last game, even though in the early parts it looked like he thought he did.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this one does pan out as the players have chosen their champions. Let us get into game number 2. Same sides. And, of course, we were making memes about, you know, level 1 Braum, but obviously a very nice pick into the Ornn. Kind of all makes sense when you do take a look at the comp. The Jinx is pretty interesting. But I think it'll work pretty nice to just kind of farm it out down on the bottom side.
Yeah.
I think Nautilus, Leona, pretty interchangeable. You know, they kind of do similar things. Leona has a bit more, perhaps, long-range engage. Nautilus a bit more CC and a bit of a bigger body.
Yeah, the Ornn here is what is, I think, for me, like the biggest game changer for Damwon is Faker.
Where are you going?
He should be fine.
Yeah, he should be okay unless Ornn knocks him into the wall. And he's still being chased down here. The knockup is not going to come in, and we have a full-blown level 1 fight. At the end of the day, Kana's the person who has to flash away.
Yeah, and that is going to be a huge tool lost for him, especially if he wants to be that bully, right? And you always feel like you're a little bit less safe when you've lost that summoner. And, I mean, it's really frustrating here.
This is rough. I mean, you look at the health bars on the side of DK, it's Gwen who took a lot of the damage, right? So she's going to be in the jungle, right? That can't be abused in the lane trades, whereas both Faker and Kana took damage. They're going to have to use those potions and sustain to try to handle their lanes a little bit.
And, I mean, what Faker got and why he was there was because he was warding the Raptor camp, which didn't give him a lot of information about the pathing timings here for Canyon, but was it worth it at the end of the day? Definitely not, but that was the reason why he decided to go for that. Does get punished for it. At the end of the day, I mean, these are things that make a pretty small difference, but are not going to be game losing or anything like that. It's just kind of T1 limiting their early game from a small overextension. There is Braum. 12 games, 75% win rate. Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it is his first game of Braum so far in summer. Carriot, you know, he kind of leaped onto the scene as a guy who is willing to play a wide assortment of different champions, including the Pike, where he had a big pop-off game, and a lot of people became fans that day. But then he also has 12 games of Braum. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. The life of a support, as a very interesting pathing coming out from Canyon. He's looking to come in here behind Uma and Keria potentially.
Waiting a little bit longer here.
He might be...
Oh, he's still waiting.
Okay. Here we go. Still waiting. They're going to know something is up, and it is just the Gwen, so they're just going to heal and run away. As, yeah, a bunch of damage comes in. It'll get Damwon's bottom lane ahead a bit.
Yeah, 2 summoners getting blown here. Of course, the secondaries, not the flash, but still, it's a nice exchange here. As now Kana is really pushing the issue because he knows, of course, Canyon's on the other side of the map. So he's very free to just continue to harass Khan. He's actually CSing decently well, loses 8 so far. Oh, owner rather. I'm gonna get there eventually, guys.
We're getting there. It's a process.
It's certainly a process. What's really interesting about this game for T1 is it's just a myriad of small disadvantages they're playing with, you know? But if any of those disadvantages led to a kill, for example, or you can still lead to a kill with those summoners being gone on the bottom side of the map, then that's when you start to really get the gist of why all of these plays are made. Canyon spent a lot of time down there. He's finding himself a little bit behind in the jungle because he went for that. We'll see if it does end up paying off. So that's the trade-off, you know, you spend that much time, you're gonna fall behind.
It'll be okay. Here is the follow-up. Oh, really nice flash comes in from Keria, denies the hook into the wall.
Such a beautiful flash.
And that's gonna do it. First blood goes to the Viego.
Gonna become Nautilus for a second and help push this wave out. As Ghost is now gonna have to sit here under turret. That's really aggressive trade here from Faker. That's what you like to see. Showmaker gonna be fine. It's a pretty passive early game outside of that exchange down there. And I'm really curious to see how this comp functions for Damwon because, you know, the Ornn has, obviously his Call of the Forge God is gonna be really nice for setting up fights, and Canyon can flank. You have a lot of damage here, front-loaded, you know, in terms of the culling coming out from Lucian. But in a front-to-back team fight with the scaling that T1 have, plus the fact that they're gonna be able to poke those health bars down before the fight starts, I really like T1's chances the later the game goes. And that's, you know, I'm saying that into an Ornn comp, you know, just because I think that it becomes very easy to eventually win that war of attrition, as we're going to watch this one more time. And Owner comes over here. The flash is so good from Keria, because that's the moment when Barrel's like, uh-oh, I better get out of here. Not if Keria is going to flash in front of your hook, which will, of course, just hook him into Keria, which means he can't get out.
Yeah. Barrel holds on to his flash. Even if he does flash, he would have to flash and immediately hook and hope that Keria could not catch up. That would really be the only way for him to have been able to get out there.
It's so high risk to try to match flashes there. Kind of like his decision to just be like, well, you got me.
Yeah, at that point he was just done. Accepted his fate.
Baker once again going for that ward location. He's going to again get some more information about Canyon's pathing. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to him, Canyon is on the streak. I think they have a pretty good idea about this because obviously Gumayusi is back. They don't have vision of it. Actually, I take it back. There is a control ward in there. So not the most opportune time to get vision of that Raptor camp, but he's going to take any chance he can get.
You can see Kana is pushing very hard here. Khan might have a decent idea that, well, now he knows 100% as Owner is here. Bit of damage comes out, and how about a rise as well? This is 3-on-1. Khan is going to get stunned up, and there's zero hope for him. As immediately, he just gets burst down, and that's another kill going over to Owner.
Yeah, and the wards that are in the jungle, you know, the Raptor camp ward and that control ward that's near the Krugs, give you a lot of information knowing that this is actually going to be a pretty safe play to do. So that ward from Faker earlier on the Raptor camp didn't give him that much information about the passing at that moment, but leading into this gank, he actually knows that this is a commit that you can go for where you're actually free from consequences for actually committing to killing this weak side top champion. And Khan has been so good this year. I mean, even going as far back as the Kesper Cup, playing weak side, the Scion, the Ornn. But, you know, there are limits to what you're capable of, especially at this stage of the game. Really successful gank here.
Yeah, absolutely. As the wall comes up, just having a bit of trading down here on the bottom side. Expected this lane to mostly just be farming it out, but with a couple of jungles coming down to the bottom side, it's made it a bit more interesting, a bit more spicy.
Yeah, the Jace matchup, you know, is going swimmingly for Kana this time around, where he doesn't have to deal with a Zac. And look at this.
Canyon's here this time. The stun not going to be used to try to go onto Khan here.
Nope.
With the Lucian coming up, they just had to kind of back away from that one.
And this is a numbers game that, unfortunately, T1 cannot win without a rotation over from Ryze. Fortunately, Gumayusi is also staying, farming under turret. Faker's here now, though.
Yeah, and they're on a bit of a clock. They need to fight right now before Ghost gets here. They're trying to get on top of Khan. He's going to sustain a ton of damage, but he will live for now. Owner's trying to get onto the backside. Down will go the Braum. And Owner is still chasing Khan, but the flash heal comes through. And that is just devastating. There was no heartbreaker for Owner, but his heart is broken.
So well played from Ghost, from Khan, knowing the limitations here of his champion, knowing exactly when he could flash out there at the last possible second, has the heal to stay alive. And yeah, he got killed and dove a moment before, but you can see that he is just so good at absorbing pressure. Meanwhile,
Canyon just laughs at Kana. He says, I have Smite.
You didn't take Smite, right? Okay, no, then I think we're good.
Yeah. And now we just have a very aggressive push up here from Damwon Kia. Barrel's leading the charge. There's a big response coming through from T1 though.
Kana actually needs to be, well, I mean, like you said, there's a big response, so I was going to say he needs to be careful, but he's going to go in.
Yeah, they definitely
Faker's here.
Careful. Here comes Faker. They're going to get on top of Ghost as I think Barrel's going to try to sacrifice himself, and the teleport is going to be stopped, it looks like, as Khan will not be able to get in. That's another great hook coming out from well, I guess Owner. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, just Viego things. As, okay, really nice turnaround. T1 immediately are saying, like, what, you can't just push into us right now.
This game is looking very different from the last. Now Khan has just sacked his turret here. He's going to go down, ton of extra gold here, going to the Viego up on the top side of the map. And you can see Khan is like, okay, well, I'm going to push bottom, but against the Jinx here, you're not going to be able to get a ton done, so you're not trading up, you're not trading even, you're just losing out straight up across the map. So you watch this fight go all the way back to this. This is actually a really incredible fight for Khan. Look at how much he absorbs here, gets the stun, he is stunned, and then, you know, on the edge here, he's just like, nope, over the wall. Owner follow flashes, and then Khan gets the heal there from Ghost. Ghost flashes in to guarantee that he gets that extra healing. And then in this fight, you know, it's just Viego things, like you said, but Faker is also here, and this is a pretty big overextension from Damwon Kia.
Let's see oh, no, we're not going to see the chompers.
Barrel ends up getting, you know, killed by the shock blast there, and then he's stolen, so it's just the perfect storm of bad here.
All right, we are going to see the chomper.
Okay.
Hey, there we go.
That's pretty significant. You know, I mean, just a small move like that, and guess what? You're outnumbered. And, you know, now down a teleport.
Yeah.
He has Unsealed Spellbook, which has been a little bit more common for Ornn these days. See if that exhaust gets him any value.
Just trying to stay alive and do something in that side lane, trying to farm up and scale up for his team eventually. As Keria pretty aggressive, but he's got a lot of support, and Khan is just running through his jungle. And he's kind of alone here. I guess he might just go down. There you go. It's going to go to Owner as well. Knock up onto Canyon. As they say, we don't really want to fight this. But with the Contrade coming up here, T1, that's a very nice pick.
Yeah, it's a really nice timing to have this advantage. One of the best initiation tools that Damwon Kia have is just completely gone. And because the teleport is down, he can't join either. They have grouped up, but Kana's like, well, I have teleport, by the way, and I'm also going to get a turret and then join this fight.
Yeah.
He's got a ward to teleport too as well. This is looking really rough for Damwon Kia. Look at the angle. You've got to get out of here.
Thanks for the leash. 1,000 damage of a leash, and T1 just scoop up the kill. Of course, they did have to expend the teleport for that.
Look at all the stuff they're getting on the map too. I mean, they got all those plates on the top side. Just one left. Faker gets a plate here in mid. And now you've evened up the Drake score. It's Infernal. Gonna be the soul here, but T1 are so ready to 5v5 at this stage of the game, and imagine how much stronger they will become later on once they have all that Jace poke in a longer extended fight before the fight even breaks out, like before you even start to really move in. Plus the Jinx, plus the Rise. it's scary to think where the ceiling is for this competition for T1, considering how far they've come already.
They're in a fantastic spot for sure, and Owner is scooping up all the kills very casually, one by one. And a very curious decision. They didn't have that much vision, but at the same time, you're going into a lonely jungle.
Yeah, when you have to expect that T1 is grouping up like this to clear vision and set up for a Drake fight, so it was just a really, really risky move there to walk through that part of the jungle. I mean, look at the gold here across the board. Unfortunately, Khan, as best as he's trying to play this weak side, is significantly behind against this Jace. So that already those items are starting to come through here for Kana. And Viego, like you said, kind of swooping up those kills means he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this game, way earlier than he's supposed to be. And he's got great targets to steal. We talked about the Lucian pick, but also like what he's done with this Nautilus already has been massive.
That's been pretty huge, and T1, they have scooped up so many plates in this game already. Faker trying to get a last one, not sure that he can. Damwon will be able to pick up one, and Faker just barely picks that up and the timer.
Believe it or not, that's actually first turret for Damwon Kia. Showmaker,
they trying to get on top of him, and he gets stunned underneath the inner turret as he was all alone, and he thought he would be safe. The answer was no. They're trying to get on top of Owner here, and I think they will. Khan is going to get the nice knock-up and the shutdown. That's 600 gold for him. So at least they get that, but at the same time, T1 picking up that turret and the kill is pretty nice.
A lot of lost safety here for Damwon Kia with the lost turret here. And they do end up evening up the turret plates quite a bit, but you know, you can't deny that T1's definitely had the better end of things here. But now you're going to get another turret bottom side. It's a lot of extra gold going over to T1. And in these moments between objectives, it feels like T1 are just everywhere on the map. They're getting plates. Faker's like, okay.
All right, trying to get on top of Faker. He's not able to get the root down in time, but he's Rise, so
he's
he
like
kind of runs away from them.
Yeah, phase rush, and I have root, so that was interesting. Oh man, they're going to get this turret here on the top side. They almost got earlier before Kana teleported down. Oh, and he's actually hiding here. I think Showmaker should know.
Oh, well.
I mean,
seems like he's been hiding for a while as Showmaker's going to get burst down, and this Jace is so powerful. Culling to the face is not even half of his health bar. As
the Observer
goes down.
The Observer's showing us the death animation with the skin.
Yeah.
Goes straight to the grave. I love to see it. And T1, I mean, like, what have they not gotten? Okay, the one Mountain Drake, and yeah, they didn't get the first turret. But besides that, they have had such a massive control over the map. And all the while, Gumayushi just free farming mid. And yes, it is an Aphelios is up against both of these champions scale very well. But when you consider all the poke that goes into these fights from the Jace before it even starts, you feel pretty good about these champions actually getting into the thick of things, the Rise and the Jinx later on. Because you can just get those eliminations super early. As we're going to watch this one more time. This is just, I mean, a nightmare for Showmaker right now. He's like, I picked Lucian for the prio, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, Owner, this is his play style, you know. He's going to get ahead, and he's going to try to push that lead as far as he possibly can. This is a nice setup from Kana.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Showmaker's vision just moments before, because we know that he saw Kana there, but like you said,
장동희.
he's
흥분하지 말고.
like, basically be responsible.
오른
Like,
지금
적당히 해 is kind of a complicated like thing to translate, but
Yeah.
it technically means like basically be responsible. Play responsibly.
Yeah.
Don't get too hyped is what he's trying to say.
Absolutely. And you know, it's kind of hard not to. I mean, when you're picking people off left and right, and your team is very obviously in the lead, and you're squeezing out all the vision control on the map, things are just really rolling here for T1, looking like a pretty comfortable lead for them, kind of like it felt like for Damwon Kia in game number 1. So definitely a good look as they're going to take this Infernal Drake down to no pressure from Damwon.
Yeah, I mean, Damwon, the thing is they have some scaling in their comp, but they're so far behind.
Yeah, I mean, they're also up against Rise and Jinx.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I was going to say. They're so far behind, and their opponent has extreme scaling too, and they've already hit the mark way faster than you would in an average game because they have a 3,000 gold lead, excuse me, and Now they have a Drake advantage, and it's going into Infernal Soul, which is going to be so great for their composition. If they had gotten the first Drake as well, like this would just be basically the end of the game, the advantages they have. And
Yeah.
I mean, for Damwon Kia here, you don't have a comp that really is great at getting a pick either. You don't have like an assassin that's going to go over and blow somebody up or catch somebody out. So it's even hard to punish a Ryze or a Jace from side laning. You have the Gwen, but she can't do it alone. She needs some sort of lockup. And to get an Ornn into position to do something like that is just so difficult. It's, you know, again, I don't want to say this game is unwinnable, but it's looking worse all the time for Damwon Kia.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're the team that's behind in this scenario, you go for some plays where you kind of do like a party brush and you try to catch someone out, but it seems like T1 are very aware of this. Okay, they're trying to get on top of Gumayusi. They're going to get the flash, and in goes Khan. He's like, no, we're going to kill this guy. I don't care what you say. As Owner will immediately come in, and now they're just going to take down Khan, but it's a trade of the Ornn for the Jinx, as now they're trying to get on top of Ghost. Keria will just not let this one go, and neither will Faker as he realm morphs his entire team over there. They get another pick.
Such a beautiful game from Keria on this Braum. And, you know, there's another one that he's actually setting up for potentially another pick if Damwon Kia aren't careful here. He's like, I'm not stopping until I hit their fountain. But this is going to be an extra charge here for the Rift Herald. And, I mean, there's just nothing stopping T1 right now. The root, the second root.
Speaking of which, how far are they going to go? Looks like they're not going to take down the inhibitor.
But, I mean, they just have so much control over the map right now. And Damwon Kia are always playing defensively, minus that play from Khan, right? Where he was like, okay, well, I'm just going to force this. Like I was saying before, it's really hard to actually get kills with this comp.
They're having a lot of fun.
They certainly are. I mean, T1 in general have looked pretty happy since the coaching changes have happened. Like, I think, you know, especially Wonder is like, finally I get my chance. Owner, I should say. This is just going to become a meme.
I just looked at you and waited until you said something.
But, yeah, Khan dies for this, so at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1, so that's not really worth it, considering T1 are already ahead. But then they get more, because Ryze exists.
I'm going to trade on live, but there is a blast plant there. And so Faker will be able to get away. As it was Faker who is getting aggressive, trying to take vision in that tri-brush. And, I mean, we'll have to wait and see how this game goes, but 5,000 gold in the lead with an Infernal Drake and probably more to come here for T1 is super comfy.
Yeah.
Especially with pretty much everybody online, like the Jace 203, the Viego is already on 2 items with 6 kills, the Ryze, you know, no stopping him either. He's farming very nicely, he's picked up a kill. The Jinx didn't die all that much, even though Guma isn't really picking up a lot of the kills, he's still very farmed. It's just kind of everybody's on board. The T1 train right now.
It's so frustrating as Damwon Kia right now because your comp is designed to have this orange scale towards the later part of the game, look for great front-to-back team fighting, but you're just so far behind that we don't even get to discuss these things because your health bars are at, you know, 2/3 before you can even walk towards T1 because the Shock Blasts are doing massive damage. And then you have a Ryze that can root you, so when you decide to try to go, okay, well, we're going to turn, we're going to engage, Ryze says, nope, you're not going anywhere. Keria says, nope, you're not going anywhere.
All right, we got the Baron started up here. There is a ward for Khan to teleport onto if he wants to. He's going to take the safe teleport. They get the teleport and they back away. T1 going to play it safe. They have really nice kite back potential as well, just poke you out, and the Ryze can potentially root if anyone does come close, so they'll get the teleport. And they'll reset here.
Yeah. Faker does have Realm Warp available, so they need to be really careful, and they actually have to, you know, back off as they're grouped. So much setup here for T1.
Oh, they're trying to burst down the Braum here, and they're going to get the stopwatch out of him, but can they get any more? That is huge! Actually coming out from Ghost, perfectly timed on the ultimate, and here comes Beryl again, and he's got his own stopwatch. Can they follow up with the damage? The Jinx not really able to put out enough there towards the end. There's so many low health bars here for Damwon as well.
All right, Damwon and taking all that poke damage, but the most important part is that they're alive, and T1 are making a really decisive and tough call to rotate towards the Baron, or it looks like they were going to. They're being a little bit hesitant here. They're actually going to wait for the minion wave. This actually gives time for the lowest of the low health members of Damwon Kia to reset and come back towards the Baron pit. Canyon's going to be able to clear this Drake, and he can back. So going to actually get a ton of health back from that smite, but he still has to back. the window of this for T1 is actually a little bit thinner than it was moments ago.
All right.
They have vision of this.
Still going for it. Yeah, there's 2 wards, and now there's a blue ward and a control. They're trying to get in here and stop this as it's going to go to the smite from the Ornn of all people. Khan, he's able to get over the wall with that unsealed spellbook and get the job done. As Barrel is just going to try to get away from this one. Look at T1. They're desperately trying to catch up and get anything, but they will not.
I mean, Khan has been just sitting there being target practice for Jace all game long. He's 1-4-3, but he's the one who's making the incredible plays. He was the one who guaranteed the pick onto Keria. He was the one who looked for the pick onto Gumayusi earlier. It did end up being a bad trade for them. But he's the one who's making the most proactive plays on this Ornn. And in this case, he has the unsealed spellbook and is able to get the smite off on the Baron with an Ornn. The Ornn steal is just unheard of, and we are just seeing so many plays from this player who's so significantly behind, but this is one of his best champions this year, even though it's fallen out of the meta quite a bit. Whenever Damwon Kia pull this one out, you could trust that Khan is going to get the job done. It's Canyon. Just get down, Mr. President, Mr. Khan.
Shoemaker flashed away. He's like, no, I'm not taking that one. There it is.
Here we go. In and out.
Easy.
Smite on the Ornn. Let's see the comms.
All right, prepare your ears. I told you. I don't even know what he said.
He just said, get out, 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 out. He didn't even, he wasn't, it was not about himself. He was not like, yo, dudes, I got it. He was just like, all right, get the hell out. I got it, so you guys need to leave.
It just sounded like a war cry, and it basically kind of was. Although he was telling everybody to retreat. Khan now banging his Ornn head into things, looking for some more. You can see the confidence shift a little bit, especially with the Baron. They're not going to be able to get a huge Baron power play. T1 are still extremely strong, but it's a bit of a shift.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
No, you really can. And like, now that this composition is starting to come online a little bit, we're going to be seeing ornaments soon. And if Khan can help this team front-to-back team fight with the 280 carries they have, it becomes, you know, a winnable game. There's still a significant goal deficit, but it's not as big as it used to be. Okay.
Fine.
Ouch. But that's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. We get the ouchies sometimes when the Jace is on the other side.
Yeah.
Barrel is here. Kana knows better of it. I was worried for just a moment there. It's 2 minutes until this next Drake fight. And I feel like this game it's still anyone's to take. Yes, T1 have a nice advantage. They have insane items on their carries. You know, the Jinx, I guess, is the only one that's not fully there yet. She does have just the 2. But when you look at Faker, he's had his Everfrost for a while, has an Archangel Staff completed, has a stopwatch. He's going to be very difficult to kill. He does a lot of consistent damage. Jace poke has already been very real. As you can see, Ghost is going to be the first recipient here of the ornament. Of course, outside of the one that Khan gave himself. And it's looking like, you know, this game is still very much, with some good team fighting and some really nice setups from Khan, winnable. And I didn't think we'd be saying that, you know, considering T1's lead moments before this.
Yeah. As you mentioned, I mean, the ornaments definitely help to shore up some of the extra scaling that T1 have in their lineup. Obviously, the Gwen and the Aphelios are going to be feeling very nice, especially if you can get a bunch of the ornaments here. And note that his team is also giving him extra gold, right? They're giving him jungle camps. They're saying, okay, Ghost, I mean, you're our hope in the late game. Don't let us down. We got to get you fed. And he's been pretty good so far. I mean, it's really difficult to avoid the shock blasts. So, you know, if he gets hit by a couple of those, it's rough, but he has lifesteal. He's able to get some back, some life back, and get back into the fight.
This next Drake fight, I think, is really going to be one of the big turning points, because neither team can give it. I think because the advantage you get from having Soul Point is so massive. Even though neither team is on Soul Point now, this is not going to be the Infernal Soul fight, but giving T1 the ability to like skip that fight or maybe trade a Drake for a Baron and the upcoming one, these kind of plays, you just don't want to give them that agency in the game. T1 has such a prio advantage here, though, in terms of the positioning.
Yeah.
This is actually such a tense moment right now as the poke damage comes through.
Vision control was nice for T1, but Damwon Kia move in as a 5. T1 push the mid lane. So a pretty common setup. Damwon going to try to set up their own concave, and Carrier's job is going to be so crucial.
Yeah, and look at Kana. He's just trying to find the perfect angle here.
Okay, he's trying to go for it. It's going to go the way of Diego. That is a big smite coming out here for Owner. And now T1, you know, we saw this before, Homolife against Gen G. They just take the Drake and they back.
Yeah.
Don't have to overcommit.
Really, really amazing smite here. And now you have, you know, a really awkward situation as Damwon and Kia, where you're like, well, I guess we have to wait for the next one. And the next one is where T1 can decide if they want to say, okay, you can have the Drake, we'll take the Baron, stuff like that, right? Like I was talking about moments before. And Kana was in such a position there to where he was actually threatening the Lucian, is threatening the Aphelios a little bit on the side. Like he had a really nice poke angle, and Damwon Kia had to either continue to push in to guarantee that Drake and win the fight, or kind of back out, because otherwise you're going to take too much damage from the Jace because of the angle that Kana had there. So just such a great kind of like, I don't want to call it a relinquish of control, but just kind of a let's push mid, now I have the better Jace angle, and then let's re-engage here. Got the nice smite. As Owner's having a fantastic game, 6-2 and 3.
Yep. He's going to be critical in some of these fights as well for the cleanup. You know, Jace gets a bunch of the poke down alongside of the Jinx, and then Faker can help set up a lot of plays. His positioning is going to be very crucial, especially with the rise. The range needs to be able to use some of the items that he's been able to pick up.
Yeah.
And then Owner's basically cleanup duty.
Okay, Damwon Kia is just going to start this straight up. Khan's got a nice angle.
And they know about this. T1, I mean, they're just running in on this one.
They don't know about Khan, though, I don't think.
Yeah, Khan's got an interesting angle as they're going to get the knock up, and here comes the Ornhorn. They got a couple in the back, but look at the back line. Ghost is totally alive. He's able to take down one, and a very close fight here. Gumayusi still alive, but Ghost has got more health, and he's got the red buff. He's got some nice guns as well.
Connor's just waiting for that gate. There it is. Oh, you got that gate on cooldown. You're pressing E as fast as you can, and you're looking for that damage. They do avoid it here, and the Baron does not get taken. And it's just T1, you know, really just backing off and taking more control over the map. Gonna grab this Scuttle Crab. This game, I think, could not be more competitive the way that this is being played out. This is the kind of game we wanted to see in this best of 3. Faker. Nope, not gonna pick anything. Khan's angle there would have been super amazing as we watch this one more time if the rest of Damwon Kia were in better position to actually capitalize on it, because he's not in a position to act like see how he hesitates here? They're not in a position to capitalize on this moment because they already were engaged on. Like T1 pulled the trigger first.
We saw Carrier try to flash back with the door up, trying to block that desperately, but he just dies instead.
Feels bad.
Yeah.
Carrier's had a great game too himself this one, especially the early parts.
For sure.
And I mean, you know, these types of fights for Damwon Kia, if they were just a little bit faster or a little bit more decisive here, this fight could look totally different.
Yeah. And we're getting to a late stage of the game where both of the AD carries are so unbelievably fed. And we're seeing a lot of these fights come down to like, who's got the range advantage, which one of these AD carries is going to survive. So much pressure onto Gumayusi. This is where you like prove that you deserve this spot right now, you know? You're like, okay, I was able to take down Ghost and Damwon Kia with my performance here. At least in a game 2.
Khan once again on the flank angle. Maybe he'll be a little bit quicker on the draw this time.
They really need to get Carrier's door out of the way. And look at that, Carrier's not going to use it. And now they found the Ornn. And Owner's getting on that. He's not able to get into the pit for a potential smite. Now they're just going to try to burst down Carrier, but look at the damage coming out from Kana. Canyon trying to get the smite, and he will be able to, but the casualties will be gigantic. As, yeah, he's got a lot of stasis here, but he is still going to go down.
This is so frustrating for Damwon Kia. You get the Baron, you're not going to be able to get much from it. And like you said, Carrier was so quintessential in this fight. Ornn can't engage when that door is up, and when the door is up, he just has to kind of sit and wait. Then he gets peeled off and taken out alone. He has to, you know, back out of there. Had to use his flash, in fact. And T1 are like, oh, we're looking to end the game right now. We're 32 minutes in.
They're going to try. They have a cannon minion as well. The Baron buff is here, but there's no minions just yet. Carrier nearly dies as Everfrost on the con, and now they have Nautilus coming in, and T1 say, nope, we're not going to take that risk, but we have Infernal Drake coming up.
Exactly. They have the inhibitor down, and now they can just take the Infernal Soul. This basically was just their way of not only shutting down a large part of this Baron buff, but also just guaranteeing they have the prio for this Drake. As you know, you can see how much Keria does in this team fight. He holds the door for such a long time. And then you can see that, okay, when it happens to be that he engages in, everyone backs off. They're like, oh, well, it's really easy for us to just turn around onto the Ornn. You can see it on the mini-map. As meanwhile, live there taking the Drake. Damwon Kia are, in fact, taking the Drake.
Yeah, because T1 backed away. And look at this, they're not going to get in position to take it down, but T1, now they want revenge.
That's insane that Damwon Kia get away with this.
They want to stop the backs, but ooh, they're not going to. They're circling around now.
They have the Baron buff, so they have some empowered backs here. It's going to be pretty quick to return to the base.
And he's trying to get out here. He was going to miss. And okay, T1 will take the consolation inner turret at this point in time, but Damwon are able to deny Infernal Soul. That's huge.
That's actually bonkers. T1 were fairly low after that really aggressive push towards the mid lane, but completely resetting there just gave Damwon Kia an opportunity to swoop in and take a Drake for free. And Damwon Kia were probably walking up to that Drake going, okay, this is actually the do or die fight where we either win this game or lose this game. And they showed up and they're like, oh, I see you back there.
Nobody's here.
I don't know exactly if that context is 100% true because we don't know, because we kind of saw it in Pip there at the beginning of that fight.
It's just they had to take the inhibitor and back right away.
Yeah.
I think they took the inhibitor and for 5 or 10 seconds they were like, maybe we can end, maybe.
Yeah.
No, let's back. And then they all backed, which if they did it 5 seconds earlier, it might have been perfect timing for them to get in position, but it just wasn't. The timing was just barely off, and Damwon Kia, they're not a team that you can give any inches to, okay? Like, this is a team that they can get like 10,000 gold behind against Gen G, and they can still win in an LCK final, okay? So,
well, the thing is, Keria's, he's like, not if I have anything to say about it, because he's had such great performances in these, few team fights we've had. And the problem is that what Damwon Kia really gained from this is just a bunch of time, right? There's a time for this inhibitor to respawn. There's nothing that, there's no control over the map that T1 have that's going to be threatening their, livelihoods in this game right now. Yeah, T1 can push these side lanes and start to group up and maybe threaten this top inhibitor turret eventually after they grab the inner turret. These are the kinds of things that T1 could do. But you're very happy as Damwon Kia just go, okay, well, the way we win this game is in that later 5v5 team fight on the objective, so now you've buffered yourself 5 more minutes.
Yeah. T1 very aggressively making moves around the map, which is pretty nice to see. Faker, he's got his teleport, he's hanging out in the mid lane, just pushing that one in, trying to put pressure on a Damwon here. There's no objective for 2.5 minutes, so it's really just going to come down to, pushing lanes, trying to soak up as much of the map vision as you possibly can.
There's 4 ornaments online now for Damwon Kia, just 1 to go.
Oh boy.
So that's starting to become, a bit of an issue.
We almost got Zonya's here for Barrel.
Yeah, especially when you consider the fact that this is a Gwen that now has the Riftmaker upgraded, so she is going to be terrifying to deal with in these fights. If Khan can set up the Call of the Forge God to actually hit the players of T1, when Damwon Kia are in position to follow up on it, that's when I think you see the cleanest team fight for Damwon Kia that we've seen this game. And there's been some skirmishes. Khan has had some picks. He's been very aggressive. He's been very assertive, honestly, in how he's using this champion. But it all comes down to one final fight, and it's going to be the one for the Infernal Soul. And if Keria is in, once again, better position and blocks his ability to set up that Call of the Forge God the way he wants to, then that in itself, it can just ruin this entire game. Because without that engage, you can't do much.
Yeah.
Like, that's your whole game plan right now as Damwon. You're not going to be going, oh, I'm going to engage with Gwen, or hopefully the Nautilus has the perfect hook. Not at this point. The damage on T1 is so high that you will just be burst if you try to go in first as anybody else.
Yeah, and, I mean, the same could be said for some of the damage on the side of Damwon Kia. We're getting that late in the game where, okay, that was close. Owner was on a ward. He was backing right next to multiple Damwon Kia members. Canyon's still coming in and being annoying, stopping the backs here.
Faker does have teleport. He's actually just putting a lot of pressure onto the top side of the map relatively freely because they have so many wards. See all those wards that everyone's about to walk through to try to punish him, so he knows exactly how much time he has to just teleport out.
Teleport.
I don't know if he had to teleport there, but guarantees
it's
he
definitely
escapes.
safer. Yeah, like if he dies there, it's Infernal Soul for Damwon, and they could lose the game.
Yeah, and not only that, but this teleport puts him closer to his team if they want to look for a potential pick or fight right before the streak.
Or a 5-man Realm Warp, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
If you're looking to make plays, yeah, I think that teleport makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't end up being like, in hindsight, the most amazing play, but all the potential reasons were there.
And he also doesn't have all the vision that we do. So.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. And T1, you can see they're really gearing up for the Baron.
Yeah, Baron first, actually.
And you do have kind of an open lane here in mid with only the inhibitor. So not a terrible idea. They're trying to engage now, but not quite going to work.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible idea. But, you know, they decided to throw away their element of surprise and look for a more of a hard engage. If they pick Barrel, that becomes a 5v4 very quickly. He is not tanky.
Damwon just squeezed by, and T1 say, sure, take the Infernal Soul. We'll take the Baron. And we've seen this trade before. I don't know if this is the right choice, to be honest. I mean, Damwon, as I mentioned, they have tons of damage. T1 need to get a huge Baron power play with this decision.
I mean, they've been prepping this wave this entire time. That's why Faker was up here on the top side of the map. With the Baron buff, you actually have this wave crashing massively. 2 empowered cannon minions coming through, and you can kind of just sit on this and then eventually chip your way to victory with the poke comp that you have. I actually really like this decision considering their comp. Khan spotted here, the ward is pretty massive, but unfortunately they're not able to push the issue here because Khan had that flank angle. They're just gonna back off, man. You know what? I think if they could stick the landing on that push, I would have liked this, and I said as much, but considering what's happened now and the fact that they weren't willing to push it through, like, the Baron buff is temporary, the Infernal Soul is permanent.
The Infernal Soul is so gigantic for especially the range that you have. Like, you have Jace and Jinx. If you get that, you can just poke them out of the game, and they're just never able to walk towards you ever. But now instead you have to deal with Culling's in the face with Infernal Soul. You have to deal with Ghost if he's got the right or the right weapons. He can just burst one of your super weak carries down. There's so many different ways for you to potentially get poked out now because you give away. And yes, you get the Baron, but if you don't get anything off of it,
if you don't actually use it, then who cares?
It's not worth it.
Yeah, no, I mean, in this case, like, when they haven't even, like, they were grouped up top. They had the 2 waves I was talking about. They had 2 cannon minions that were Baron buffed. And I thought, okay, you're just going to stay as 5. You're going to force Damwon to come to you. You do a lot of poke damage, and then you just kind of win the fight there and push to end, right? I think that was the idea. But they didn't do it.
Yeah, but like, what did they expect? Like, they had vision on Beryl and Khan, and they knew, like, okay, they're gonna like try to engage. And it's almost like they're like, well, you can't exactly engage here when they have Infernal Soul. And then it's like the shocked Pikachu face comes out of the ground.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, like, of course. You know?
I mean, I think if they were a little bit more decisive there, too, they could have handled that engage and then look to maybe get a pick there onto Barrel or Khan and then look for the push to end. Like, I still do respect T1's decision, but obviously, in hindsight, it was absolutely not the correct decision because what they did with it, or rather what they did not do with this Baron buff, is why it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you could say, like, yeah, okay, they get some extra gold with the Baron power play. They can, you know, buy their final items, and maybe that's worth it. Well, the Infernal Soul is worth a lot more than 2,500 gold at this point in the game. Absolutely.
It's permanent. That's the thing. Like, this Baron buff is over now.
Yeah, and if Damwon can, you know, wait 3 minutes and then they get the equivalent of 2,500 gold and they get their final items, then you know, nothing was gotten here really by T1.
If they were going to, you know, win the game off of just not really having any traditional 5v5 team fights with this, you wouldn't worry about the Infernal Soul as much because what Damwon have in poke isn't as great. Yeah, they have the culling like you mentioned. That's one of the bigger, more annoying things. They have, of course, Ghost's ultimate to poke through. But otherwise, you know, if you're just pushing down top lane going, okay, I'm going to kill your inhibitor, then I'm going to kill your Nexus, and that's how it goes, and you never have to fight, then yeah, I guess you don't worry about the Infernal Soul. But now you have to fight an Elder Drake fight, grouped up 5v5 against the Soul. Triple Infernal Drake, Infernal Soul, mind you, because of the way this game went. They split the first 2 Drakes, so it's even stronger.
And, you know, we're not saying that because Damwon got Infernal Soul, the game is over. We're just talking, you know, specifically about that decision in isolation. We're going to have to wait and see how T1 handles this because for now they have insane amounts of vision over here on the blue side, but there's still 2 minutes until the Elder. And it's going to be another one of these potential flips because we got Baron and Elder at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, we know which one of those is better, 100%. I mean, there isn't a scenario where T1 get the Baron and trade and then don't use it in that point. Yeah, game just ends. So
if T1 take the Baron and they flip and they give Elder to Damwon, we're gonna have to like go back to to objective class 101.
Yeah, I mean, like T1 are a team that under, you know, Danny and Zeppa's coaching, there was a lot of interviews that Danny put out because he was the most transparent coach probably of all time we've ever had in Korea. And he was always saying like, yeah, there's some comms issues, like we don't always, the team isn't always like kind of sticking with the plan. And I was really happy to see T1 decisively decide to go to Baron. There was no like, what should we do? Kind of like happy feeding. They went straight to it. They cleared it quickly. They had the top wave pushed, like it was a plan all along, but they just didn't follow through, sadly. And anyway, I don't want to beat this dead Baron anymore, but now they're going to try to, if they have the positional advantage here, that poke is still going to be strong for T1 even without the soul.
Yeah. Let's see it. See how this fight breaks out, because again, as I mentioned, you know, just because the Infernal Soul is here doesn't mean that Damwon immediately win the game. There's still insane amounts of gold and items and scaling on the side of T1. They have 2 Infernal Drakes of their own. And now, again, all of this vision that Damwon had to push through, they don't really have position on the Drake, and T1 kind of have a monopoly over this river for now.
Yeah, and that's where it's going to stay. They don't even care about the top wave that's pushing. Just going to clear mid, have that extra prio. 25 seconds to go until this game is going to explode! That's what's going to happen. It's going to be big. It's going to be explosive. And, I mean, look at the items for this Jace. Kind of has Edge of Night as well. Like, good luck killing him. He can just poke with impunity here. Although you can see Beryl is quite tanky himself.
Ghost has the right weapons. They're ready to go.
They want this.
And all these items coming through now. The Jace poke is not doing as much.
Okay, Canyon's used his block here now, though. Now they can really start to do some damage. Look at Kana!
Trying to get on Beryl, and he just basically dies, and that's it. The rocket comes through, and Beryl gets isolated. Kana makes the play. Now Damwon is going to have to be the ones that take the Baron, and T1 will enjoy their Elder buff.
Yeah, actually T1 look like they might just ignore this straight up and go straight for the win. Realm Warp to the side lane, and yeah, Baron buff's here. Gonna use those Empower backs real quick to get back home and set up to defend this. The middle inhibitor is open, and Kana's just gonna rejoin the squad. He's not gonna waste time pushing for that. They just wanna open this win condition up to the Nexus where they have a minion wave.
I don't think you're saving this inhibitor.
No way.
You gotta back up. You gotta back way up to your Nexus. And you gotta hope that you can hold on for dear life. 4v5. T1, they do the right thing. They're gonna take both the inhibitors down. Now, how far do they go?
That's the question. Look at that damage on Showmaker. One more, and he's dead.
Yeah, he kind of has to go back to the fountain. But we do have Beryl respawning. T1, they have the Elder here. They can get a back in and then try to go for one last push.
Yeah, it's crazy how this game has turned into such a volatile one. Where, remember, T1 is down in this series. If you're tuning in late and you haven't been paying attention to the scoreboard, if they mess this up, they lose the series, right? If they succeed, then we're going to a game 3. So you can see the tensions are high and some emotional decisions are being made, and there is some hesitation here because the stakes are so high right now. But at the same time, you know, like you get 2 inhibitors, you back off, you still have a nice advantage. They've had this gold advantage for so long, but again, just like the Baron buff, this Elder buff is temporary, right? And the Infernal Soul is permanent, and that's still going to be an issue. But we saw how much Kana can do when he's left with an angle to hit Beryl, to hit anybody for that matter, maybe outside of Khan. So still feels like T1 have massive advantages, but you're just, because of how volatile this game has been, you just don't trust it until the Nexus is dead. Like, until the Nexus is dead, you're not sure if T1's really going to close this one out.
Absolutely. Ghost has picked up a rapid-fire cannon as his final item. It's definitely going to give him some nice extra poke with the Infernal Soul that they do have.
30 seconds. His Baron minions are so frustrating for Jace. He's like, I just want to poke you. Get these minions out of my way.
Oh, he's going to miss again. That's not going to help them out at all. And something else that the rapid-fire cannon really helps out with is clearing waves from range, right? He doesn't have to get as close as Beryl goes in and Beryl goes down. A nice amount of poke, but that's another dead Nautilus.
Okay, that's a dead Nautilus, and that means there's so much more freedom here for T1 to continue to push. The Elder buff is done in 3 seconds here, so that window is gone.
Baron's still for 35 seconds, but 5v4, I think T1 will be confident to continue pushing in here as they're trying to hold the angles there, and now you can see Khan. He has to go into the stopwatch, tries to flash away, but the Jinx is so online that down he will go. And now the gigantic knockup comes out from Owner. And you can see that Showmaker's desperately trying to kite this one out, but it is not going to happen. as T1, they will be able to take down the Aphelios. Showmaker's desperate to make this happen, but it will not, as Faker will flash. Showmaker is going to go down, and so will the Nexus, and we will have a game number 3 tonight.
The plot armor of the perfect day of LCK